So thank you for being here. We're a small round, but I hope that nevertheless maybe we can have an especially intensive dialogue afterwards. So let's try to see what happens, yeah, or what emerges from this round. Well, thank you very much also for having me here today and for giving me the opportunity to share my perspectives. And I would like to share today my perspective as an internal coach within an operative unit within a big company. So basically the perspective that I gained during over 15 years work in a big company in different IT positions or IT-related positions. Can you hear me? Is it loud? Good, yeah, good. And and most lately as organizational developer and change manager within the IT. And this is a topic that drives me quite a lot. So it's one of my heart topics. It's a lot of passion with that. And let's see. I will try to do like a little test with you. And I will try to start maybe in some different way. So basically, we did something similar to that this morning with John Hopkins. But, basically, if you think about, how of you or who of you do have children or grandchildren or nieces, children, grandchildren, nieces, godsons, or anyone that maybe is younger and that you love. Yeah. So my question would be just if you try to visualize that person's, and you think of them, it's maybe that's my daughter, and you think about them, what would the world look like that you want them to live in, to settle, to raise a family? What does it look like? What can you find in that? How is work? How are the connections, the relationships in that world? Maybe you can reflect a few instances, and then what I would like to do is just to grab your thoughts. Maybe you can give me some adjectives or noms or characteristics that came into your mind, and I will just grab them so that we can create in a dialogue like a vision of what our world, thinking about our children or our loved persons, we would like to look like. Okay? And basically, in order to do that, I make myself a little bit smaller. What came into your mind?
Interesting.
Here we want this one.
And well nature.
Well nature.
Also so in richtiger Natur.
Mhm.
Peaceful.
Ressourcen.
Nurturing.
Nourishing.
Okay.
Knuddeln. Wie sagt man das auf Englisch? Knuddeln. Knuddeln.
Kacke.
Kacke.
Huggy. Hardel.
Cuddle, oder?
Cuddle?
Double D, Kuddler.
Happiness.
Supporting when needed. Supporting when needed. Again together.
1, 2, and love.
Love. From laughing. Okay.
Not from love, but from love.
From love. Yeah.
The other one is also good.
Yeah. And so
Supporting when needed.
supporting when needed. Can you read that?
Respect.
Full of kind people.
I need to make place. Maybe I put it here. Okay,
Full of laughter.
laughter.
Something like full with people that don't take themselves too seriously. Like
Fun,
short would be something like playful.
playful. Okay. Anything else that? Good. Thank you so much. So, let's see. We can move it forward like this. So this would be basically the attributions to the world that you would like to see for your children or your loved ones in the future. And basically, the reason why I am today here, and I taught you that this is really a hard topic of mine, is because I really do think that digitalization is an opportunity. I mean, it's a big transformation which is shifting all the paradigms that we have known until now in the economics, in the industry, everywhere. And basically what I would like to think about digitalization is that this is a big chance for us to go to a world which is purposeful, meaningful, where children are allowed to be children and are allowed to play and are allowed to discover themselves, where people go happy to the work because they know what they're doing in the work, so they're purposeful. And they bring this joy of being purposeful back to their families, to the colleagues, to the customers, okay? And yeah, I think that basically with all this digitalization, what is happening right now, so we're reaching this tipping point where we really do need to ask ourselves one question. So we need really to think about which way we want to go, because digitalization is bringing us to this point. So basically what we're living right now is like the tipping point of a big transformation, of a big paradigm shift. And if we do not answer questions like, for example, why, or as John Hopkins says, and I like that very much because it really makes a difference, in serve of what are we using the technologies? And if we don't answer that questions, this transformation won't work, because it makes a huge difference. If you're using like a chip that you're implantating someone to grab all the information that you have about the health, about if they're doing sports, what they're eating, if they're sleeping well or not, if they're drinking too much alcohol, in order to calculate what are the correct fees that you need to have in the insurance topic, or if you implantate someone which is treating for cancer, and you just need to know what doses is the right one for him based on the values that you have. It makes a difference, because the difference is maybe the technology is the same, but the motivation that you're using behind that makes absolutely the difference. Okay, and that's why I'm here today, because I think that this is really a big possibility to all of us to think about really relevant questions that we need to ask ourselves now in order to go through this transformation with conscious and meaningful. Okay, yeah. So yeah, basically everyone is talking about digitalization or being digital, you know. And the main question there is, if you ask several people, everyone will give you a different answer on what digitalization actually is. Yeah? I just put here a definition of Gardner on what digitalization is, which is the use of technology to change a business in order to get new revenue and value-producing opportunities. I mean, okay, it's very value-producing opportunities, revenue-oriented and so on, but that's the world that we're living in right now. Yeah? So, yeah, it's the process to move the business to a digital world, digital economy. But what does that really mean? I mean, the topic is actually digitalization has been treated right now like it was like something add-on. Okay, we're doing business, and this is something add-on which we need to take care of. But actually, the point is that this is reversing. So digitalization is nothing add-on, so it is the economy. Yeah? And there is a quotation which I like quite a lot, which says, there is no digital strategy. There is a strategy in a digital world. And that's actually the reality that we're facing. Yeah? And everyone who is living nowadays, every company, whatever industry it is, they will face that. They will have a need to treat these topics. I mean, maybe not now, maybe it differs based on in which sector you're going or where your business is, but definitely you will have to do something. Yeah? You will need to face and to be conscious about that, yeah? On what does it make to your business. And that's actually one of the biggest issues that we have, or the biggest challenges that we have. Yeah? What is digitalization to me, and what means digitalization to my business?
May I ask you one question? Certainly, I know that we will have all kind of digital processes, but still you cannot eat bits or bytes, and you will always have the real products that nourish and feed our world. And somehow I feel this is
Yeah, because there is such a hype, and I will try to show you what I see, what is my perception in a big company, yeah? And basically, if you're that focused with that trouble, I mean, everyone is telling you what you need to do in order to get digital, yeah? And you're rushing in this direction, so you're losing the focus maybe of other topics which are also important. So you need to re-encounter the balance somehow, yeah? So that's one of the main challenges, basically. That's absolutely. I wanted to show you very briefly some examples that I found, which I found inspiring, yeah? On things, developments that are happening out there. Yeah? For example, I mean, McCormick is a producer of condiments, seasonings, and flavors. I mean, this is a very traditional business, okay? And what impacted me quite a lot is that they were going digital. And my first thought was to say, hey, how? A condiment, seasoning, and flavor engineer and purveyor, how are they going digital? What are they doing there? I mean, this is because you don't see the link. Yeah, I mean, okay, you condiments, you put it in the food. And do you know what they're doing? Because they did a reflection on what is our core. So what are we giving back? Yeah? And they came to the conclusion that what they were giving back was a lot of knowledge. I mean, they develop flavors for branded foods and, I don't know, beverages and stuff like that, and they develop it for different countries because even the flavor is different. So maybe if you develop a product for Malaysia, it's slightly different from the taste that you would develop it for France or something like that. Yeah, that's a cultural topic also. And they gathered all this knowledge from over decades that they had, and they put it into an algorithm, yeah? And they created an app. And do you know what this app does? This app recommends you. I mean, you get through an assessment of what are your foods. Based on this algorithm, then you get like linkages on stuff that you might like or not. Yeah? And then you get recommendations on recipes. They work with partners. Maybe you get some discountages if you buy something there or here and stuff like that. And they give you recommendations of what you could try else. Yeah. And it's very, very interesting. And do you know what they did already with this app? I think it's very funny. So this is something playful, yeah. And I like the idea because they created another app who is the dinner bell. So basically, just imagine if you're a mom or a dad or whoever is cooking at home, yeah, and you want to say to your family, "Hey, the dinner is ready." Then you just shake your handy, and then all the devices of the family that are connected with this are ringing or belling or whatever, so everybody knows dinner is ready. I mean, this is something playful, but it's fun. Yeah, I mean, you can evolve a lot of things. I mean, another very typical example that is always used in all the studies that I read and stuff like that is Uber, which is the black with the circle. And do you know what Uber is? Yeah, it's a
car sharing?
Yes, exactly. It's basically like it's not a taxi service, but it's a platform where you can offer to drive someone, or you can just ask if someone wants to take you, or who is doing the same way as you are doing. And basically, if you read something about the history behind Uber and how it came to life, it's very interesting, because the two founders, they were just in Paris one night, 2008, and they had problems finding a taxi, and it was snowing and it was cold and the weather wasn't good. So based on that need, they just developed and say, hey, we need to do that, because the mobility, the infrastructure is not that good within the cities, and there are some parts in the cities where this mobility is not provided so well. And they struggled quite a lot. They had a lot of fights with taxi companies and stuff like that, you can imagine, yeah? But they're shifting paradigms, because they're shifting the topic, okay, why should I have a car if the only thing that I want to do with a car is going from A to B? And when I came to B, then my car is parked somewhere and no one is using it. It has to do a lot with also developments that are happening in society, like low tourism is called, like that it's not that consumism anymore, and that maybe some people, or even more people is developing and evolving, don't see car maybe as a status symbol as it was before. Maybe as they only have this necessity of going from A to B, and they don't stick on the product that much. So you can imagine what happens with all this, what circles come with something like that afterwards. Axel Springer is also very interesting, because they are very from the history, really newspaper topic, and they really developed to a very digital company in the last times. Yeah. But BMW Group and some things like that is interesting, because they're trying basically to respond to things like Uber are doing with this drive now, okay? Like offering car sharing, where you can just say with your app, okay, I need a car, then I pick it up and I can leave it somewhere and stuff like that, yeah? But very interesting here is, and I think that there is a necessity to make a difference between those players, is which of them were established business, traditional businesses, and who of them were newcomers or digital natives who just got into the market and really created a value, a part of that what was existing before, yeah? Basically, these two, like Uber and Skillshare is very interesting. I had some courses over there. It's basically an online learning platform where everyone can teach, yeah? And you can learn. They have developed also their business model. You can pay a fee and you can have access to all of the courses. But there are also courses which are free and you can access also without paying anything. And they are very practice-oriented. So this is also shifting quite a lot the way we're learning. Because now, from everywhere, you can access a lot of knowledge, which, okay, it's not standardized, and you don't have quality assessment over that, but you can grab on knowledge of millions of people. So, and that's really, that opens a lot of opportunities, yeah, from both sides. Yeah, and basically, what happens, I think that who really needs help in terms of organizational development and coaching and orientation are really these established businesses. Why is that so? Because basically, if you nowadays, if you have a great idea on something what you would like to do, and you have the technology to do it, then it's not really a problem. Okay, it's not easy, like Uber and others. They'd have a lot of struggle, but basically those who came new do come new with a technology, and most part of them also with a big idealistic thinking with them. And they came because they were very motivated on doing something with a vision of what they would like to do. Yeah? And the big challenges that we're facing right now are in the established business. Why? Because now, okay, you're a car manufacturer or you're a taxi driver or something, and then prompt in your city, Uber is offering their services. I mean, in Germany it's not that much already, but there are other countries where there is a lot of Uber services offered. Yeah? What do you do then? I mean, if you have the opportunity to choose between a taxi driver or if you are going with someone of your region who is anyways driving and maybe it is cheaper, at the end you get to know the person and it's interesting, you have nice conversations and whatever. I mean, it changes quite a lot of all what happened and what was there before. And yeah, and basically what I see, I mean, established business do see all this stuff, and the problem is that exactly because of all these technologies, you're getting into this VUCA. I mean, everyone is talking about volatility and complexity and stuff like that, and that you need to deal with all that stuff. But basically, the established businesses are the ones that need to deal with that because they need to transform, because they are being challenged from partners from places where they never expected to be. I mean, example, Airbnb. So you are a big hotel chain, yeah? And then suddenly someone comes with the idea of setting up a platform where everybody who wants can put in their houses or flats or whatever, and they can just offer them sell them, not sell them, but just for a stay, and people just can come in, watch what they like, where it is, and stuff like that, and they can actually book it, and it's very, very easy. Yeah. And then as a hotel chain, you might say, okay, that's not my problem. This is not my sector. I've got something completely, and I'm doing this for many, many years. So you are not a problem for me. Maybe not yet, but maybe it develops somehow, yeah. And maybe the society is also developing so that not everyone wants to be in such a big hotel class. So maybe you would like to get to know a little bit more of the culture of the place you're going. And maybe you're more interested in having the little small flat in the Piazza Romana in Rome and not maybe whatever else, yeah? Yes.
So what do you do practically to help people to understand that shift? Because I can imagine, I lived in Franken for a lot of times. There are people in Erlangen which don't realize this transition. What do you do to help them to understand how deep this impact is and that it will be maybe erase even the job they're doing at the moment and they have to totally rethink what they do?
Basically, in doing things like I'm doing here right now, at least in my area of influence. Yeah. But basically, it's a very tough question, and I will come back to that afterwards. Because the problem is, and I will try to answer it afterwards, there is really a big challenge that you need to overcome before you can get people to understand and just to reflect what is happening right now. Yeah? And the problem is basically that they're overwhelmed with studies coming from very renowned topics, HBR, McKinsey, Deloitte, whatever. And they are really good studies. I mean, I'm not here to tell you that this is not good. It's really good. But I mean, they're always saying, yeah, if you want to be digital, then you have to follow these 5 rules. If you want to be, you need to be digital, but look what these enterprises are already doing. You need to do that as well. And there is a lot of pressure on these businesses. And basically, they are struggling right now with priorities topics, that they have basically too many priorities at a time. Yeah? They're having a struggle on defining what does digitalization mean and what does it mean actually to me, to my business. And this is not a very easy question to answer, because if you ask managers, of a different round. Maybe one would tell you, okay, digitalization is only about IT. The other one will tell you, oh, digitalization is about how I engage with my customer. Yeah? And the other one will tell you, no, it's a completely new way of doing business. So none of this perspective is wrong. But the problem is, okay, you have to put them together, as we were speaking today, like how do you fill these white spaces? Yeah? And you need to get them together to have an alignment picture at least. I mean, it doesn't matter actually what result they come up, but they actually need to be at least aligned to face the next step. Yeah? They are asked, okay, you need to set appropriate targets. You need to set the right strategy. You need to change your leadership model. I mean, we all were talking about that the leadership role is changing heavily in the next time. Yeah? Why? Because the organizations need to be more agile. They need to be very quick and fast. They need to be responsive. They need to be iterative, and yeah, they need to like to play and to try things. They need to take risks. Yeah? And risks is something that actually is not really very comfortable. Yeah? Because you're not measured in terms of taking risk. You're measured for reaching certain KPIs, which are on the secure side. You're giving a goal, yeah, you're giving a target, amount of money or whatever, and you're asked to get that. You're asked, okay, you need to know your customer, but you don't need to know your customer only by how is he or she behaving in the way he's buying stuff. You need to be predictive. You need to know ahead of the customer what the customer expectations are. Yeah? You need to use big data. I mean, this is a really big buzzword. You need to use big data. But what does big data mean? I mean, it means that you have a lot of data availability due to Internet of Things. But the main question is, what do you want to do with that? And for what? I mean, how do you create value out of that? And that's really a big discussion point. Yeah? You need to be creative and innovative. I mean, this is really very basic, but this is really what companies are confronted right now. And not in a sequence, it's everything coming at the same time to them. Yeah? You need to disrupt your business. This is also a very nice buzzword. Yeah? You need to disrupt your business. So you're doing business for a long time with the same product or whatever, and now someone comes to you, a nice consultant or whoever, or you read it everywhere in the newspapers anyways, and they tell you, you need to be disruptive. Yes?
I still try to be the bad guy in that point, because I'm really curious, what do you think is the new logics? Because for me it's getting a lot of buzzwords and a lot of stuff at the moment, which is the problem you already described. That you have a lot of experiences. What is the difference in the logics? I have a theory what is the difference, but I would really like to get your perspective. How is these changing in the way we deal with this? How is this changing in the way we make decisions?
Actually, right now, from my experience, very difficultly. Because we're very attached to the old paradigm on how we did business for the last time. And for the last decades, yeah, basically. And you were trained for many years to be more efficient, saving costs and things like that. So basically what you're doing and what people are trying in the companies is to do more effectively, more productively, saving more costs, but basically the core, what they're doing, stays the same. And that's the big challenge that we have. Yeah?
That's the paradigm of lean. That's the idea of getting processes more straight, more effective.
Yes,
more
exactly,
robust.
exactly.
That's the old. What's the new?
Yeah, that's one of the topics that I've got here. You have to be agile and you have to be lean, yeah? And you have to develop your culture. Your global virtual collaboration is a must, but you still are facing the problems with the language barrier. Every one of us do know that, yeah? And
excuse me. Will these things like in the dairy industry where I work along, every day they used to monitor whether the salespeople are going on time into the market. So now they have a digital process where the salesperson goes at 9 o'clock, he takes a selfie and then it shows the location where he is. And at 5 o'clock he takes another selfie. Then it calculates his travel allowance and everything. And it seems to be a better way to manage whether it's a monitoring system anyway. Does that come under the digitalization you're talking about, or these things?
Yes, why not? I mean, it's something that you're doing the topic, the stuff differently, and you're using a technology that maybe wasn't there before. So, yes. But basically, I don't want to get, maybe, I don't want to bore you, but what I would like to tell you is, if it works. No, don't tell me that it doesn't work now. Yes, it works. And basically what is happening right now is that all of these influences are coming all together. But basically you have also the old paradigm, which is working right now. You need to increase productivity. You need to be more efficient. You need to save costs. You need to be faster because the market is evolving and developing very, very fast and very quickly. And afterwards, and you have a lot of speed. Go, 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 because if you don't do it, or we don't do it, other ones are going to do it, and we're going to lose market. Yeah, and basically, what I wanted to offer you, from my perspective, what is happening in such organizations right now is basically following. So, can you see the glass? So the glass is a representative of the organization. Yeah, it could be also a leader within an organization. It doesn't matter. And these are all the influencing factors that come with this digitalization. And basically, what is happening is following. Is this? What am I doing here?
You float the glass. Big thing.
Yes. And basically,
Wi-Fi cuts down or no connection more.
Or the computer.
Yeah.
yes. And basically, that's exactly what's happening. And it doesn't help just to come and tell them you need to be agile, because you're overburdening them. As everything that you place on top, it's perceived as a overwhelming. I don't have time because I have to run, because I need to move on, because go, 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 otherwise others will do that. You know, so that's the main challenge that I see. And I think that one of the topics that we need to care about is how can we just cut that? How can we bring organizations to step back? Yeah? How can we just give them just the opportunity or the room to reflect? Hey, what's going on? Yeah? What's happening? And basically what I would like to discuss with you is one thesis that, as I told you before, it's driving me quite a lot right now. And based on the examples that we had before, I mean, I didn't make such deep studies on these examples, on what they already did and tried very operatively and so on. But basically what I found on my research were a few interesting facts. Probably they are more leaner or agile or whatever, yeah? But what they do have is like a common guiding star, which unifies what they're doing, yeah? What do they have? I mean, for example, Uber, they're shifting expectations, and yes, they actually are doing that, yeah? But they're doing is to find better ways for cities to move, work, and thrive. So they have like this orientation to serve society. We're doing it because we're serving society. I mean, they do have already other studies making correlations on how the increase of usage of Uber correlates with the number of accidents happening because you're drunk and you were driving. I mean, okay, you can do a lot of correlations with statistics and stuff like that, but they do have like kind of a vision, like kind of this guiding star. Yeah? With Schindler, I found it very interesting because even they're an established business, you can also find, if you dig a little bit deeper, also this kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, they're moving basically from escalator and lifter, manufacturer and seller. They moving to we move 1 billion people a day, and they moving to an identity of urban mobility, basically. Yeah. They're talking about that their products and services support people living in urban areas to gain mobility. If you look at McCormick, I love that example, but it's very, very established business, and it's a very traditional business. Yeah? Anyways, they are not considering themselves as a condiments manufacturer or engineer and seller. They're considering themselves saving your world from boring food. So wherever you work in that company, it doesn't make a difference because you're saving the world from boring food. You know what I mean? Axel Springer, for example, as well. If you look at their vision and stuff like that, it's very, very funny because they don't talk about vision, they talk about our homepage, who we are. So even the language that they use in it is very digital. I mean, that's quite interesting. And I mean, they say, yeah, we are offering or we're making a contribution to strengthening the freedom and democracy. It's also some like this perspective of how do they serve, okay? Yes.
What is your experience with the vision driving the question of using digitalization or not? Or is it that the digitalization is driving the vision? Because I mean, these visions you can have without digitalization, right?
I think it can. Yes, of course. I mean, you can have a vision without having the digitalization. Right. But from my perspective, digitalization is nothing else than a big transformation. Yeah, it's nothing else than that. And the problem is that this big transformation is making a lot of struggle to business. And if you're suffering a lot, maybe you get to the, to the findings that you really need to do something different. Yeah, but you need to suffer quite a lot to get to this insight. Yeah. If you get to the insight before, you need to struggle better, of course. Yeah. So I wouldn't say that digitalization is driving this, but I think, or basically my thesis is that if you have this orientation, this guiding in a company, it makes it easier to go through a transformation. That's the only thing that I want to say. It's not that digitalization is driving that you get more visionary or something like that. It's not. But I think that basically it makes it easier. And basically I think that we unlearned to have this kind of visions because we were too much focused in saving money, making money, grow, and stuff like that. So we have been trained for the last decades on doing this kind of things. And we unlearned why we're doing that or for whom. Who are we serving with, yeah, with these ideas. So that's basically what I wanted to say. And I've got this graphic as well because I found it very interesting and I wanted to share with you. But yeah, I grabbed an example from Walt Disney. I mean, Walt Disney is a very easy to grab business because it's easy to get in such kind of emotion more than if you're talking about building motors or something like that. But anyway, it's very interesting. So they have a common purpose for that enterprise. And do you know how it sounds or what is this purpose, this common purpose? Is creating happiness for others. And I think this is so powerful because really independently, if you're working in the service, if you're working at the ticket in the entrance, or if you're working at the canteen, or if you're working as a standman or whatever, everyone is contributing to creating happiness for others. And this makes a lot of difference. I mean, it makes circles because if everyone is contributing to this higher vision, then you get automatically better conditions for working out Augenhöhe, eye to eye. You know, it doesn't make that difference where you are because you're contributing to that big picture, and it makes definitely also a big difference. For example, in a topic which is very current, which is the engagement topic of employees. I don't know if you have heard or if you have experiences, but that's one of the topics that I'm driving in my organization. And this is a very, very challenging topic as well, because people are more and more dissociated with the topics that they're doing and the topics that what they bring in the everyday life. And just think about if you only taking this engagement topic of employees, just think about if you could turn the numbers. So basically, actually in Germany you have in the last Gallup study that I read about 80% of people which are not engaged or very light engaged. So if you, there were only 16% that are really engaged. But think about if you could turn these numbers in the reverse, so that 80% or 84% of the people were engaged. So what a difference would it make in the business world? Okay, what circles, as I told you before, I mean, these people would go and know happily what they're going to do at work, and they were fulfilled, and they know what their purpose is and what they're contributing to. And they will come back to their families with the joy and the satisfaction of having done what they can to with the satisfaction of bringing in their abilities. They would treat the customers differently and the clients differently and stuff like that. You wanted to say something, Frida?
You can go in that topic. Do you have a model which is maybe a level a little bit deeper? So that is the strategy level. What I was thinking of, for example, was the Cinefin model, which divides different areas. Like you have a complex situation, you have a simple situation, you have a complicated situation, or you have a chaos. And if I would use a model like this to explain, okay, we have been a very long time in a complicated situation where you can, without expertise, decide and make a good decision. We have been in a simple environment too, but these two areas which computers are so much better than we, because you just have to process information. But we are getting more and more in these complicated world where we cannot predict because the factors are too much. You cannot process this with computing power. You have to make experiences, set up theories, and innovatively come up with try and error. And if we had a theory on that level, I could explain to somebody what's going on. It's going on that these simple and just complicated jobs will be erased in the next few years by computing power. And we have to focus on these complex.
Yeah, but I agree with you. So I didn't want to talk about methods today. So I just wanted to have the dialogue right now with you. But basically the challenge that I see there is that who is able to say what you're going to need and what you're not going to need in several years, and who has the courages to, in such an uncertain environment, to get here and say, and I don't need your profile, because that is going to be done by machines. Who is doing that, and who is knowing that after? You need to know that before you can communicate that, okay? Before you need to know what is happening with my business because of digitalization. And that's one of the main topics because of these overburdened organizations that I showed before. They even don't have time to think about that because they're following something which they think they need to pursue because otherwise others will do. But you need them to get basically before to the point of what do we need to do, and what do we need and what do we don't need. I mean, I agree with you. You definitely need to go this process of die and become. You need to be able to say, okay, this part I don't need anymore because technology or whatever, yeah? And the other one, I need to evolve in this direction, yeah? But first, you need to cut that, yeah? You need to cut that, and you need to get them irgendwie to a point where you can start this reflection. And my thesis, or what I think, what it's really missing right now, is this kind of what for are you doing it? And based on that, if you get to answer that question, then you can go this way and say, we're doing it, that's why, because we're serving following, we're giving that back to society, and based on that, I would assume, maybe I'm not really sure because I don't know what is going to happen in the next future, but I assume that probably that and that and that we don't need, but we will need following areas. And based on that purpose, on that guiding star, you can take people with you because you get them emotionally, you know? And that's what's missing. People are rushing and they're not knowing where they're rushing to. Yeah? And the problem is what we saw yesterday and today is this gap between the development of technologies and the development and learning of people is not parallel. The technologies are moving very much faster than the people are moving. So you need to do some things. You don't need more methods, more complexity, more do this, do that, give me measures, give me measures. I mean, that's what the systems are doing right now. You don't need to give systems what they're expecting. That's exactly what I don't think that really helps. Yeah, you need to get people emotionally also to the same level. And I think it's just a thesis, and I really would like to discuss with you that you could try maybe with this purpose to get them inspired. Yeah?
I fully understand what you mean. It's great if it works, but it also, from my perspective, can go in the opposite direction. If you look like RWE with this nice Vorweggehen advertisement everywhere in newspapers, in the television, and then if you talk to the people, they don't feel like they're moving ahead, they are the leaders,
yeah, exactly.
They feel like they are the losers. And then you have it even worse.
Yeah.
You're communicating a vision which doesn't fit the reality they are,
yeah.
and that creates even more tension.
Yeah,
so it's a
exactly.
super thin line.
It is, because if you have this purpose, I mean, it's useless if you just put it on a poster and you put every office is full of that poster and you're living a different reality. That I know that situation very well. So you're creating a big divergence of what you're saying and how you're acting, and that drives people mad. Okay, so that is useless. Absolutely agree with you. But you need to get both in parallel. So if you have this inspiration, you need to take it seriously and to say, and what from my system does support this, and what do I need and what not. You need to use it as a chance, like a new glasses where you're looking, or a new Scheinwerfer, spotlight, where you're looking at your business and you're saying, and what opportunities does it create for me, and what do I need to change? But you need to change something. I mean, having a purpose or like this guiding star and doing the stuff the same way won't help you. Yeah, I mean, always this is the two sides of a coin. You need to change it, otherwise it's useless. Yeah. But I see it more as an opportunity of watching through a different glass, you know?
So basically what you're saying is that as we have digitalization nowadays, it kind of creates the opportunity to rethink or maybe think first time purpose, right? Is that kind of, because it's so disruptive, because it's so challenging, it brings in the purpose question once again.
Yes.
Is that kind of the line of...
Yeah, because it's making a lot of people suffer a lot. Yeah, there are a lot of people having very anxious because of the future. Will I have work in the future or not? What can I contribute? Is it needed? What I know and what makes what I have? Yeah. So you need to know exactly what for do I need the technologies and what for do I want them to use them to serve what? I mean, do I want it to serve society, or do I want it in order to grow or make more money or save more money? I mean, this is a very basic question, and it might sound very idealistic, but I really think that if we don't answer that kind of questions, it wouldn't work, because someday the balance won't be anymore. I mean, we don't have the balance right away, but it will get more.
What do companies do that simply don't find the answers? They don't even know how to ask the question. How do they approach that?
I don't know. I mean, you
need to despair.
Yeah.
That's through the despair.
Hopefully it helps. Yeah.
Or even a lot of companies are disappearing. I mean, basically, if you take the example of camera producers, they were absolutely disrupted from the market because of the entry of smartphones, and the smartphones didn't even want to disrupt them, so it was a collateral damage, which camera builders even did notice, because a smartphone, this is a phone and I'm a camera, But basically, maybe using that example, I don't know, it's an assumption. I don't know and I don't have the answer. But maybe if you as a camera manufacturer would have the purpose for your organization of, hey, I'm helping people to capture the beautiful moments in their lives. Maybe there would have opened a lot of new perspective that if you are considered yourself as a camera builder or manufacturer, don't have. Okay? And I think that really makes a difference. Yeah.
If we go back to our topic, how to drive organization, then it might be just a kind of disruptive trigger for us to drive leadership and organization development on a new phase. So it's just a tool to create a sense of urgency, because the pain is so big that you can't do it with a bit of coaching or training or
that doesn't help
prevention
anymore.
or something like that. So that might be the tool to drive the management.
Yeah.
You have to do something big now, and we help you to implement new organizations.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's a big opportunity. I don't see it as a threat, because I mean the question is, lots of people are afraid of technologies. Oh my God, what's that? Oh, yeah. But technologies are neutral. So what makes it is the motivation that you have to use them. So basically, and that's on what we need to work on. What for? What is the motivation that we do have? And we need to answer that question, because it's not because we want to make money. I mean, a company intrinsic reason of being is not to make money. This is the result of a successful company. Yeah, the reason of being of a company is because they serve to someone or to something. Yeah, but we've forgotten that, and we need to raise awareness on that topic again, so that we can face really these big changes. And I would like to come back to the vision that we had at the beginning, and then I would just finish. Which was this? This one. Because I think if we don't ask ourselves this kind of questions, I put it in doubt if we can get to there. And it's on us. It's really, we have a lot of responsibility. And I think that basically we as organizational coaches or developers or whatever we call ourselves, I mean, it doesn't matter, we do have a responsibility towards that. Yeah. So that's what I would like to raise in dialogue with you. So basically, if you think about this profession, and you think about the future, and you think about the vision that you had, thinking about your loved ones, your children, or whatever, what could we, as our profession group, do? Or what do you see? What is needed? What would it be needed that we contribute, or how can we contribute? What could it be? Yeah, and I think that I talked quite a lot. Do you know how many time we still have?
Yeah, 19 minutes.
19 minutes. Okay, then maybe we can use it in a very in a very efficient way. Yeah.
I just have one comment, because I don't know if you know, I remember a movie which is basically about companies showing how companies start and then during the life cycle getting to another stage, and at some time are not more innovative and die. And there are examples like Nokia, and I think it's a great holistic view on that topic, digitalization, because I really think there are a lot of companies who do, like a startup, they're bold, right? And they shift paradigms. And if you ever visited one of those companies, you see how people are engaged, and they are not facing many of those problems which you have in huge companies, where people are more concerned about their own position and money and hierarchy and power and whatever. And on some way it's interesting, because I think as companies get bigger and bigger, they seem to lose that spirit and not believe in that vision. And I think it's a very powerful movie, and it shows that I think the average life cycle of a company is shrinking from over 100 years to now 15 years. And this is probably what you just said, because then companies start dying because they're not ready to to get that shift. And,
I would be.
really like your idea of bringing like a topic like digitalization, which is really shifting business and put it in that context, because I think that's great.
Thank you. I would be very interested in having the link or the name of the yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
I mean, that's a powerful starting point for your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
When I listen to you, somehow I feel confused and I try to find out what confuses me. One thing is moving me is that I feel you're being very passionate for values and a kind of being desperate. How can we bring the world to follow a value self-direction? And for me, this is a separate question of the question of digitalization. And when I see your purposes, I think a tribe who has a wonderful idea to exploit another tribe, they have all that. They know the purpose. They organize themselves. They do it for their beloved ones. It's wonderful. The only thing is that splits the world of being human. Within the tribes, they have all that, and outside of the tribes, they have every right to exploit everybody and not to think about whether these people should also be treated in a humanistic way. And for me, it turns into the digitalization problem. This is maybe one new version of the problems that organizations get so big that with our simple humanistic and value-oriented minds, we cannot understand what we can do. And the fear is that those who have not our values are more competent to use digitalization to change the world in a direction we don't want to have. But it's not. I'm not sure if this is a main question of digitalization.
No, I think it is. It's digitalization because it's the buzzword and the topic that we're facing right now. But I think it's every change process, every transformation that you're doing is bringing the ugliest parts to the surface. Yeah. And so basically for me it could be digitalization or it could be something else, but basically right now what is driving the companies quite a lot is the topic digitalization anyways, yeah. And yeah, it
makes it even more complicated to track the idea of organizing your professional way of being in a value-oriented way, because things get so complicated, and when you can sit down together with 2 or 3 people you know over years and there's some stability, you have more the hope that you can build up a value-oriented community. And the question with the digitalization arises anew, and how can we still drive this desperate fight for being oriented to human values in this new world. But, when I feel your passion, I feel it somehow mixed, and I do not know how to relate to which one of the parts, and I have the feeling we still have to sort out a lot of around that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as I said, this is the right now what I would like to share in terms of what I'm living, so the reality that I'm living right now, it's my surrounding, and basically I do think that it's not the holy truth. Maybe I don't think that this kind of guiding star or purpose would solve all of our problems. That's not what I'm trying to say, but I think that it could be like a good step to at least to rethink.
I think one sorry.
And maybe I was very fortunate in my life because I used to work for, I just ran my mind through every company I worked for, and every of these companies being a non-profit, for-profit was very driven by purpose. Maybe not the top management, but people doing actual work. I used to work for a facility management company, and we had raising the quality of life for our customers, and the people doing that, they were throughout the building raising quality of life for people. being the one who's taking, like the hostess or the people, the food court, or even the cleaning people or technicians wanting to make events like that run smoothly. Or the company I'm working for now, people are very, very passionate about bringing the best service to flight guests and so forth. And so I think they have the purpose is already there in a lot of companies. What is really hard for people, that the business model that they have sometimes doesn't allow them to fulfill this purpose anymore, and they don't have leaders don't have the skills to anticipate the disruptive things that come with digitalization. And I mean, going back, I love what the food company does, going back to what we do, because that frees them up to explore out-of-the-box thinking. And what I feel that leaders are doing, they're constantly traveling back and forth to Silicon Valley. They say, oh, wait, these guys they're so motivated, and they work, and they're so entrepreneurial, and then they come back and they try to really bring that into these big companies where they have a purpose, but it's not working like that, because I think you have, from what I notice, you have people within a company having exactly the same ideas, but then it sometimes drops from having a great idea and building a startup within your organization, and then leaders come and they say, yeah, but it has to go for quality assurance first, and we have to draw a budget, and then the idea is out there maybe in a year, but that doesn't really help. So I think what companies in terms of digitalization struggle with is they want to bring a totally different culture within one culture that is now, and then and they don't really know how to do it, and that frustrates a lot of people, because people at the ground floors have ideas. Leaders try to bring entrepreneurial ideas up, but somehow it doesn't really
because
fit.
Yeah, exactly. I absolutely agree with you. It's exactly what I see also. Yeah. So and I think I'm not sure if every company does already have this purpose or not. But really, in these terms of what are they serving for? Yeah. However, but this purpose is useless unless you change really the system so you can live, so that you can take decisions in terms of, is this really what we're doing serving to what we want to do or not? Yeah. So it's not basically that I say it's the cure for everything, but at least it might be an entry point to help to make decisions, not more. Yeah, and to change things. So that's.
Maybe that's the thing. I think the purpose, you have a lot of times on the ground floor, but I think a lot of leaders, when you ask them what's the purpose of your company, they are the KPIs and the shareholders and whatnot, to force them to really bring it back to this one sentence, because that makes a lot of decisions much easier. And that maybe takes out a lot of the complexity that leaders have to deal with right now. Maybe that's an interesting idea.
Somehow it seems to me a bit to be idealistic, because if you ask an armor producer what his purpose is, he has the idea to make peace in the world, but is playing and earning its money by being part of the systems that is killing people, and they know it. But they are able to split their mind, and on the one hand they have the purpose, and on the other hand they split, they put away the insight that even if you can believe this purpose, it's a contribution to a hostile and dangerous system, and they do not know how to escape. And then they have other purposes in order not to keep their people in work and keep in market and all these things. And individually, from one perspective, this is reasonable, but from another perspective, this is being part of a destructive system. And we don't, so we need more complicated ways to map that, to get an idea how to deal with these dilemmas.
For me, I'm just sharing my understanding of your presentation to check for myself. It is what I see is organizations which have grown over a period of time. Going and introducing this digitalization makes them rethink and it brings a fresh perspective and blood into the organization.
It's a question to me.
No, I'm just
Oh, okay.
sharing my thinking. But what happens is when you bring the digitalization company, they somehow overwhelm the business people with this is it has to be done and it's a go market and that's where the water overflows. And sometimes the purpose is forgotten in the process.
Yes.
So it's just being mindful of the purpose and then using digitalization as a support system and not as a replacing system, and to have a culture for that. Is that what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Still, you're going to have a lot of good purpose and still a lot of go, but
Yeah.
now with purpose.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
it needs.
doesn't exclude. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not-
it needs to match together. I mean, it doesn't help you to, as I said before, to have the purpose if you don't have the system that supports that. Yeah. So basically, both. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
What is the company you're working in?
Are we done with the?